Welcome everybody, Bronson with the Epoxy Resin Store. Today I'm going to show you how to take an old epoxy piece that's been sitting around, getting beat up, just having age hit on it, and restore it to brand new. Check this out. All right, this piece is a piece I did a couple years ago. It was for a private class. A lady hired me, her and her friends, they wanted to learn epoxy, so we spent a day playing with it. This particular piece is a piece of rain tree that came out of Fiji. It's a gorgeous figured wood. It's a kind of a pain in the butt to work with. It off-gasses a lot of air. I had to do several coats on it. Anyways, we had this, this piece that we put together. You can see we put a beautiful blue river inside it. Really contrasts with the browns off that wood. Well, since it's sitting around in the shop forever, we didn't get legs done on time. One thing led to another. It's been there a couple years. She's got a table I'm going to show you how to restore as well in a similar manner. So I'm going to fix this up and make it ready for her again, but I want it to be like brand new. So first thing to do is I'm going to grab my sander and I'm going to grab, there's 220 grit on this. I want it to rough up the surface enough that the new layer of epoxy has something to bite onto and stick, but not be so rough that I'm like leaving gouges and scratches in it. 220, it's right in the sweet spot. If you like the mesh disc, the mesh pads, those work as well. I personally like on the 220 just the little rough standard sandpaper one. And I'm really gonna get this entire thing really sanded up well. You can see I'm really going over every inch. On this one, anything that sits around my shop for any length of time, somebody's gonna take some wet epoxy, they're gonna stick it on whatever surface, and it's gonna get a little bit of epoxy on it. And that's what happened to this. That actually happened several times. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our 220, we're gonna really sand this surface all the way down like I'm doing here. I'm letting the sander do the work, and you'll see it's really looking like I'm ruining this piece here, but I'm not. It's gonna look like brand new when we're done here. So I'm gonna hit every square inch. I'm gonna make sure it's evenly sanded out. Make sure there's no divots, nothing like that. It's gonna be a perfect surface ready to receive a new coat of resin. Now that I've got the top done, I'm gonna make sure I hit the sides. As you see here, I've got those sides. I really wanna make sure I rough those up a little bit. The sides get the least amount of resin. We just have gravity fighting with us, and it's the thinnest there. As it goes over the edge, we get it on the floor. So I really wanna give it something to bite onto so we have a nice fresh coat. And I don't wanna have like the weird drip line. So I'm gonna make sure that I hit all the edges there. You see I'm getting the corners as well. And then I'm sanding this flat with the 220 disc once again, just so it's getting ready for the pour. All right, now that I've got this sanded up, I'm gonna get a blue shop towel here, and I'm using 91% isopropyl alcohol. Just gonna give it a good clean. I don't want any of that dust left on, so I'm gonna make sure I get all this cleaned off and then really get it ready to pour. Also gives me a sneak peek of what it's gonna look like when I'm done as well. But I want to really make sure this thing's clean. I'm gonna go over this a couple times. Make sure me personally, I like to make sure I'm using the blue shop towel. I used to get like these red painter's rags that I got from the big box stores. They'd bleed out onto my project. It'd have like red stain on it. So I didn't like that. It just made more work for me. So I stick to these blue shop towels. I also like crocodile wipes a ton. You guys see me use those a lot. Those are my two preferred ways to clean surfaces. Clean a lot of surfaces in our day-to-day. So as you see, we've got it all wiped out. It's got that little hazy look to it. That's just the abrasion that we've got there. And we're gonna use the high performance marine epoxy resin from the Epoxy Resin Store. We like this stuff. It's got a real thick build, and it's got UV inhibitors in there. It's real strong, it's real stable. It's designed for marine applications, so this bench is gonna be no problem for it. Now that I've got it mixed up, I'm gonna pour it down the center like the way I like to do. Then I'm gonna get my handy dandy trowel. I love this trowel, leaves just the right amount of material behind. I'm gonna move my mass back and forth. And when I'm doing this, what I'm trying to do is just cover the surface. The first time around, I'm not trying to push it over the edge. I wanna make sure I get that entire surface covered first. You're gonna see I'm spilled a little over, but generally speaking, that's what I'm trying to do. Now I'm gonna work my way back with the mass as I work to the other side. Make sure I've got every corner covered, just like that. Like I said, I love this thing. It's 1/8 inch slots, so it leaves just the right amount of epoxy behind. Not too little, not too much. Now that I've got my whole surface, I'm gonna come around with my excess. I'm gonna just roll over the edges lightly like that. And I'm gonna give it a rub with my glove. Make sure everything is coated thoroughly and evenly. the edge. I'm gonna work my way just like that. It's kind of fun and soothing as you get this touch down. And I'm just gonna rub that and bring some material with me. Now, as you can see, I've got my entire piece coated. I'm really gonna go around the edges and make sure we don't have any dry spots and rub that. And then per usual, I'm gonna pat this entire surface out, make sure we don't have any surface tension and that we're evenly distributed. It gives my epoxy a chance to lie out. You can still see I've got some air bubbles encapsulated. I'm not worried about that. At this point, part of what I'm also doing is giving it some time and letting the air rise that epoxy. Now that I've got that done, I get the old trusty torch out and I'm gonna go over it. I think I do this one twice. I just really wanna make sure that it's good. Plus this rain tree tends to be porous and pop out some fish eyes and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go over it, get all the bubbles pop. My resin is crystal clear, and I really like the way it's restoring right back to like the day I poured it. All right, as I'm going over this, it also gives me a chance to get my eye on every inch of the surface again, just like that. See there, oh, I've got a little divot. I'm gonna take my gloved hand, I'm gonna tap that a couple times, hit it with a torch. It levels that right out so that won't be there. Gives me a chance to look at every piece, every square inch of the piece one last time prior to the epoxy setting up. While the epoxy's wet, I can fix pretty much anything. Once it dries, if there's a blemish or something there, it becomes more of a major surgery kind of thing. So I like to really make sure I take the time and look at every little inch. A big tip is wear a hat. Just like I have a lot, this long, I've got a haircut right now, but I have this long brown hair that loves to fall out into my resin. And then if I don't catch it right away, it becomes Jurassic Park and encapsulated in this, my top. People hate that. As you can see, that's the final product right there. We're just let this dry out just like the day we poured. It's really, really one of my favorite things about epoxy resin is how easy it is to bring it back to life if you beat it up. All right, everybody, I hope you liked that video on how to restore a piece of epoxy. Remember, we don't ask for any money at this channel, but we do ask for 3 things. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and ring that bell so you're the first to find out when we've got new material.